No gavel, so we're using that. Finance Committee meeting come to order. Today's Finance meeting, July 27th, 3 p.m. Finance Committee. Gentlemen, we'll start with item number 1. Do we have any additions or subtractions from the agenda?
Do have a removal of an item number 24. Move to request item 24 at the request of the staff.
Okay, we have a motion to remove item 24 at the request of the staff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 24 is removed from the agenda. Item number 2, consider the June 29th, 2021 Finance Committee meetings. Commissioners, any comments, questions about the minutes? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of June 29th, 21 Finance meeting.
All right, I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed 3-0. Item number 3, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of the self-contained breathing apparatus, necessary accessories and training from a single source vendor, 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC, utilizing NPP Gov purchase contract number PS20125, with funding be provided by the FY22 Fire Fund capital budget and the amount not to exceed $710,000. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This is a proposal or project to replace our outdated self-contained breathing apparatus, spare bottles and face pieces. These come down with a 15-year warranty. Right now, we're running about 35% of our SCBAs are out of service because they're out of date and out of age. This project was approved by the board, or approved in capital, and Jason has approved the use of the purchasing agreement.
If I'm not mistaken, this is something that's kind of been on the radar for a couple of years, get approved, so we're now able to do it this year. Is that?
Yes, sir.
That's great. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of the SCBA's necessary accessories and training from 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC, utilizing cooperative procurement, NPP Gov purchase contract number PS20125, with funding to be provided by the FY22 Fire Fund capital budget in the amount not to exceed $710,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 3-0. Item number 4. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of water tanker apparatus from a single source vendor, 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC, utilizing NP Gov purchase contract number PS20240, with funding to be provided by the FY22 Fire Fund capital budget in the amount not to exceed $300,000. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. The reason for this project is to help eliminate some of our issues with water supply in the outlying areas. We've had several major fires this year, having to call in mutual aid. Water can be an issue. This truck will triple, it carries triple the water that our engines do. It will run in association with our engines, and with our second tanker, another 3,000 gallons, we feel very comfortable that we can meet our water needs.
Commissioners, any comments or
Your
questions?
first tanker was broken down, or you had problems with it?
We've had intermittent issues. There was a technology glitch. The pump was computer operated, and that has caused us trouble on several occasions. It is now being taken out and repaired by Pierce.
Do I have a motion?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of the water tanker apparatus from 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC, utilizing cooperative procurement, NPP Gov purchase contract number PS20240, with funding to be provided by the FY22 Fire Fund capital budget in the amount not to exceed $300,000.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 4 passes 3-0.
Where will this unit be stationed?
This station is either going to be placed out of Station 6 on 17 South or Station 3 out in Sterling. Those are two of our biggest water area needs.
Item 5, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the support agreement with Stryker in the amount of $55,575.20 with funding to be provided by the FY22 Emergency Rescue Operating Budget. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This particular project covers the service, maintenance, and the update of all of our high-end equipment for use on the ambulance, the LifePak cardio monitors, Lucas devices, which has proven to be a phenomenal device that y'all help fund, AEDs throughout the county, our power cots, the load systems. So it's a very, very important area for us. This contract also covers Parks and Recs AEDs.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, sir.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the support agreement with Stryker in the amount of $55,575.20 with funding to be provided by the FY22 Emergency Rescue Operating Budget.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 5 passes 3-0. Item number 6, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of purchase order utilizing HGAC by contract to Fraser Limited, Houston, Texas, in the amount of $238,174 for the purchase of one 2022 Fraser ambulance and the issuance of a purchase order to Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $75,230.35 for the purchase of one power load floor system, one Power Pro cot, one LifePak 15 with funding provided by the FY22 Emergency Medical Services Fund. Chief Jordan.
Yes, sir. This is the replacement for one of our older ambulances we're taking out of service. Right now, that ambulance is in reserve. It'll be replaced. This particular ambulance will become a front-run unit. The pricing includes on both of these all of its necessary equipment.
Any questions, Commissioners?
What did we do about the ambulance that was hit in the back?
That ambulance,
Did we replace it?
its replacement came in 1st of June.
And the reserve one, is that held at a station?
The reserves are held either at fleet maintenance or at the headquarters station. We're going to have to do a little work on getting them indoors. They're going to need to be air conditioned before long or maintained because of the medications carried on them. But right now they're subject. We actually still have a reserve in operation. So
Okay. Do I have a motion, Commissioners?
I'm looking for it. Hang on. I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order utilizing HGAC by contract to Fraser Limited, Houston, Texas, in the amount of $238,174 for the purchase of one 2022 Fraser ambulance and the issuance of a purchase order to Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $75,230 for the purchase of one power load floor system, Power Cot Pro, and LifePak 15 with the funding to be provided by the FY22 Emergency Medical Services Fund.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, Commissioners? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 6 passes 3-0. Item number 7, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order utilizing single source vendor to Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $101,532.64 for the purchase of 3 Lucas CPR machines, 1 Power Pro cot, 1 LifePak 15 monitor defibrillator with accessories with the funding provided by the FY22 Emergency Medical Services Fund. I think it's Christmas for you today, Chief Jordan.
it is. It's doing quite well.
All right.
We appreciate it, though. The Lucas devices will help staff out the engines of the ambulances that don't have them currently. We're working on having a Lucas on everything we own. Power Pro cot's a replacement for one that's older and out of service. The Life Pack will help us expand our operations as we go into advanced life support engines and gearing up, trying to run another first response unit.
And just for everybody's clarification or reminding them, the Lucas devices, they do specifically what? I think I know.
Absolutely perfect CPR.
That's right.
Where a fireman bouncing around in the back of an ambulance is good for about 6 minutes maybe, a Lucas device can go on till the batteries die, and it does absolutely perfect CPR. Our return to spontaneous circulation rates using these is blown sky high.
Wonderful.
And when Walter and I did the tour out there, it was an impressive machine.
Especially if you're coming from way out in the outlying district.
Right, what y'all talked about.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order utilizing single source vendor to Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $101,532.64 for the purchase of 3 Lucas CPR machines, 1 Power Pro cot, and 1 Life Pack 15 monitor defibrillator with accessories, with the funding to be provided by the FY22 Emergency Medical Services Fund.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion 7 passes 3, item 7 passes 3-0.
Chief, all these things were put in the budget this year. I remember those.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And the offer still stands. Please, anytime you care to come out and ride with us, we'd love to have you ride. This is an extremely busy year for some reason. Half hour, 45 minutes time would give you guys some insight on what goes on. But we appreciate it, and we actually have to head. We're doing Charlotte in 3 hours, so it's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
thank you very much.
You're going to have somebody to fly you.
Item 8, consider the Board of Commissioners approve the one-year contract between the Joint Public Safety Communications Department and Jekyll Island Authority that GB 911 provide dispatch services to Glynn, to Jekyll Island Fire and EMS. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir. The Jekyll Island Fire and EMS is currently being dispatched by Georgia State Patrol Dispatch Center. All the 911 calls come in through our agency, and so it is in what they are wanting is for their best interest. It shaves off a substantial amount of time in between transfers between the two entities. So they're asking for full dispatch services through our agency, and that would provide help them with the mutual aid and the automatic aid, those issues that we have arisen over time. Shave off time, and it is also about 1.5%, which fluctuates of our operating budget, so it could be roughly around $40,000 a year for revenue.
Comments or questions, Commissioners?
Always good to hear revenue.
Yes,
Do I
sir.
have a motion?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the one-year contract between the Joint Public Safety Communications Department and the Jekyll Island Authority that GB 911 provide dispatch services to Jekyll Island Fire and EMS.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 8 passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Richardson. Item 9, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the real and personal property corrections and exemptions as recommended by the Board of Assessors and the Chief Appraiser at their last meeting, Thursday, July 8th, 2021, with clarification that this does not approve a tax refund.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, what we have today is the corrections and exemptions from the Board of Assessors last meeting of July 8th.
All right, Commissioners, do you have any questions when you're reviewing this?
No, sir. Got a motion for you if you're ready.
Can I get a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the real and personal property corrections and exemptions as recommended by the Board of Assessors and the Chief Appraiser at their Thursday, July 8th, 2021 meeting, with clarification that this does not approve a tax refund.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 9 passes 3-0. Hold
right.
Got it right. Yeah, I'm looking on two different places. Item 10, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners, recommend the board, it's got a double right there. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve or deny a request from Claire Cruth that penalties and interest paid on parcel number 03-16518 for tax year 2020 in the amount of $2,188.74 be refunded. Yes,
Good-
ma'am.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Marlene Sapp from the Tax Office. Ms. Gareth is requesting interest and penalty in the amount of $2,188.74 be refunded. Her statement reads this. She says that I went to the tax office on 11/18/22/21 to pay several property tax bills. I was told by the lady I was paying that no taxes were due on this property. I asked her several times if this was correct, and she said yes, nothing is due. So I paid other bills and left. I have never received anything saying taxes have not been paid. I feel that this was not my fault to not pay bills since I was told nothing was due. I have been paying all of my property tax bills in full for many years. I just assumed that this was just a miscommunication between Ms. Gareth and the clerk that assisted her. There was two addresses in question. It was a 0 Coastal Pine Circle. She paid that in the amount of $1,305.50. 1 Coastal Pines is the one in question, which was $24,000. That's the one she said that the cashier told her was not due. My comments are the tax commissioner, Mr. Chapman. He has implemented many procedures regarding the collection of taxes. We have extensive training in collecting property taxes. That's what we do, collect property taxes. $24,000 we would want to collect. Collections, that's just one of our essential jobs. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask.
Ms. Cruth, would you like to come up? How you doing?
What she says is everything that I wrote down, and all I could do was go by what she said, and I knew nothing of anything being due until I've been trying to sell the property, and I received a notice saying that the property taxes had not been due. And when I found that out, I immediately went in, paid them in full, penalties and interest as well, in order to then go through this process.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have confirmation that notice went out on this property?
Yes, sir. The address that the notice went to was, I think, 2502. Is that your correct address, Frederica?
No longer sold in July of last year.
Yes, sir, but that was the address that we had on record to send the tax bills. We sent a tax bill, and we also sent a 30-day notice.
Okay. And was your mail forwarded?
My
after
mail was
July?
forwarded, and I never received anything until a law firm that's been researching in order to sell the property, and they informed me that the property taxes had not been paid.
Right. And, I mean, you've had this property for a number of years, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, you're familiar with the kind of the calendar of tax payments.
Right, every November I was paying these property taxes plus personal home taxes and another home taxes. Every
So I
year.
know, like in mine, I'll have my folder, and I'll have for the last 10 years each property bill that I would see. I think, and I guess the point I'm making is you would have said, hey, look, I don't have a bill for 2020 when you spoke to them and said,
Well, I received the bill with all the other bills,
Mhm.
and when I went to pay the bill, she said nothing was due. And I asked several times, and she kept saying nothing was due, so I didn't pay anything.
I would suggest maybe, if that ever comes up again, ask for a receipt, and that way, if she tries to print a receipt, she has nothing to print, that may be a suggestion. Hopefully this won't happen
Yeah,
again.
right.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
But always a tough call when we get these. And it's been the habit of the commission to honor the personal responsibility of the individual. And very rarely did these get set aside.
Were you paying this, Claire, or was Wade?
I was,
You were paying it?
for every year since we've owned the property.
Yeah, I think the issue we have, Ms. Ruth, is,
That would be the kickback that, I mean, you knew it came every year. I feel for you.
I mean, because we had changed it to like a timber tax thing or something, so I just assumed that that was part of,
After the golf course closed,
right, and it
you
was
changed
done
it
for
to
timber
like
and,
conservation.
right, so I figured all that had something to do with that.
yes, ma'am. I mean, we typically have, this is my third year sitting on this committee, we typically don't do that because we all, as property owners, have the responsibility to pay our taxes, and we know they're due every year in November. And it's our responsibility, if we start here, we're going to have a flood of people that come forward and say, hey, look, for whatever reason, please waive my penalty. I sympathize with you 100%. It didn't sound like it was handled very well downstairs. But at the same time, we have to go by the tax bill, and the tax bill was sent to the previous address that it's been sent for the last several years. And as a taxpayer, you should have, it's your responsibility to make sure that you get your bills and they get paid. If there was a question, you should have asked to speak to a supervisor, I guess, because that's a pretty big tax bill, correct? I mean,
Yeah,
if someone said to me I didn't know that amount of money, I might have said, well, hold on.
Well, like I said, I got the,
24,592.
I mean, I got the thing, that looks like this one, and the amount was on there, but when she said nothing was due, I just went with what she told me, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, I asked her several times, and she kept
Yes.
saying nothing was due. So there was nothing more that I thought I had to do.
Commissioners, do we have a motion?
Well, I'll make the motion to deny the request. I know you very personally and family, and I hate to do it, but it's consistent with
With what we've done all
what we
along.
have to do.
Give me a formal motion.
Okay.
Commissioner Finley.
Let me go back up here to the
You can just read it right off there.
Okay. All right, recommend denying the request from Claire Caruth that penalties and interest paid on parcel number 03-16518 for tax year 2020 in the amount of $2,188.74 be denied.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item
We do sympathize.
10 is denied 3-0. Ruth, thank you very much. Again, we're sorry for everything. Item 11, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the sale of 5,416 square feet of a strip of upland adjoining Lot 8 Compass Point subdivision to Moy One LLC and Richard Thompson for $8,000 total. Said approval being contingent upon Moy One LLC, Richard Thompson, and Glynn County re-subdividing the property to incorporate the parcel into the existing lots. Attorney Worthing.
Afternoon, Commissioners. This is a request that originally came in to us from Moy One LLC, who's the owner of Lot 8 in the Compass Point subdivision. That's 134 Compass Point Drive. Behind this lot and several other lots in that subdivision is a large piece of property that the county owns that was given to it by Sea Island, I think, in 1951. The vast majority of it, according to GIS, is marsh, and there's a small strip of upland adjacent to this lot and several others in that subdivision that is upland. And back in 2013, we got a request from about 4 property owners in the same block, this subdivision, to sell some property, the upland adjacent to their lot, which the board at the time approved. So this is a request from this property owner of Lot 8 to do the same thing that the board approved, that the then Board of Commissioners approved in 2013, which is purchase the upland that's immediately adjacent to his lot from the county. And we're able to do this, if y'all approve this, under a section of the Georgia law that allows for the sale of small strips or parcels of land which are unusable or undevelopable otherwise. And this is 5,400 square feet approximately, so it wouldn't be a buildable lot on its own. $8,000 is the appraised value that they received from an appraiser. And when this request first came in, you'll notice that there's a small triangular portion of the property that actually is adjacent to another lot owner's property. And when I asked about that, why are you asking for that property? What about the other person? The person making the request reached out to that property owner and did a agreement with them so that they'll acquire the property. They'll give that 230 square feet to that property owner, but they'll go ahead and pay the $8,000 to Glynn County. And in 2013, when the board at that time approved this kind of sale, they did it on the condition that those upland be combined with the existing lot. And so we would suggest if you approve this, that that same condition be placed on this.
All right, commissioners, any questions or comments?
Well, I've had a few calls and concerns about this off and on through the process. This is, that's gated subdivision back in there, so to speak. Is there any blindside issue that we would expect? I don't know why the complaints were coming in, because it wasn't property owners that were directly involved. I think people just...
To tell you the truth, commissioners, and I don't know if we could pull it up on GIS, but I got it here, if it helps look at a visual. So the property, this is the property that you're being asked to sell. You can see these four lot owners, I'm sorry, here. This property was all this same situation. Their lots all ended right here back in 2013, and the county sold all of that to those joint lot owners. So really what we're left with here is this little parcel here that's just kind of landlocked, so to speak. As far as the county's concerned, it's totally up to y'all's discretion whether you want to do this or not. You have the ability to do it under the law, but it's just whether y'all think it's a good idea or not.
Well, it seems consistent with what was done in
What's done in
2013. It puts a little 5,400 feet back on the tax roll, which isn't a lot, but it's just sitting there otherwise that really no one can get to.
Motion.
I don't have any comments.
Yeah, I just had a few calls about it that were concerned about it, and I told them we had done it before, previous commission, and I didn't really have any heartburn with it unless it was something that legally changed something that could be a precedent in other areas. It's not something that we use as an instrument at all. But
And like I said, it's totally up to y'all's discretion, so there's no precedent set. If somebody else comes in and wants a similar deal, you can look at that one on an individual basis and approve or deny it how you see fit.
yeah, I don't have anything moving it forward, and I'll call people back if they've got continued heartburn about anything and a reason for it specifically, they can come to the meeting.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the sale of 5,416 square feet strip of land adjoining Lot 8 Compass Point subdivision for $8,000. Said approval is subject to and contingent upon Moy 1 LLC, Richard Thompson, in Glynn County subdividing the property to incorporate the parcel into their existing lots. I further move that we approve and authorize the chair to execute the quitclaim deed and all other documents necessary to convey the above referenced property.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item number 11 passes 3-0. Item 12, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners allow the Golden Isles Kingfish Tournament the use of Gascoigne Bluff Park on August 13th and 14th, 2021 at no cost for their 2021 Golden Isles Kingfish Tournament as requested, contingent upon Police Department approval of a public conduct permit. Ms. Gerganis.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So this is a request that's come forward to the Finance Committee and the Board of Commissioners for several years. The Kingfish Tournament is proposing to have their event on Saturday, August 14th. In addition to, the park would be open for public use during the tournament. They're not going to do as much setup as they have done historically, and probably more in the COVID year. They're going to be setting up a few things. But So in addition to obviously a fee request for being able to utilize the park, they also would like your permission to close the pier access to the public from 3 to 6 p.m. on that Saturday so they can conduct a safe weigh-in of the fish with the folks that are involved in that tournament. That is a request that they've made historically, and again, they have done this for many years. I think it's been a good event from my understanding, and I think they use it for fundraising purposes for their group. So they're asking
And
for.
do they put a sign up before they actually go and close it down?
I think that they do, but I can double check that, and certainly that's something that we can require of them. They have not been cleared yet for a public conduct permit, but they have submitted the application to the police department for that
Yeah,
event.
they usually have all the weigh-in staff right there on
Right,
the
I
pier
think-
when the fish come in.
And I think they just kind of want the access to be cleared for the fishermen, so they can easily get in and out without having too much overlap. And last year was especially critical with COVID. But they do invite the public to come out for the weigh-in and that sort of thing, you know, and welcome people to come to the pavilion and the rest of the park while the activities are going on. And they will be cleaned up and out before the end of the evening.
All right. Commissioners, any more questions or comments?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners allow the Golden Isles Kingfish Tournament the use of Gascoigne Bluff Park on August 13th and 14th, 2021 at no cost for their 2021 Golden Isles Kingfish Tournament as requested, contingent upon Police Department approval of a public conduct permit.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 12 passes 3-0. Item 13, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve a waiver of late fees and penalties for June 2021 accommodation excise tax payments received between July 21st and July 31st, 2021. Ms. Dunnigan.
So we introduced lodging revs or Muni revs for our new software for accommodation excise tax on July the 1st. Simultaneously, the state of Georgia introduced House Bill 317, where the marketplace facilitators who are HomeAway, VRBO, and the like would begin collecting the taxes on the accommodation excise taxes at the same time. So some of our STRs believe that HomeAway and the VRBO, they would submit their taxes form for the month of June. Well, that does not begin until the month of July. And so some of them have submitted their taxes, but we had to change our form from the old form to the new form, showing which, for the waiver. And I think I submitted a copy of that so you could see the new form. And so what we were requesting is for those who paid, from the 21st to the 31st, we're contacting them and letting them know they need to go ahead and make the additional payment. But we were requesting that you just waive the late fees and penalties for those 10 days till we could get in touch with them and, get that paid. There are only a few of them right now. And no homeowner has yet asked for that.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the waiver of late fees and penalties for June 2021 accommodation excise tax payments received between July 21st and July 31st, 2021.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? I do have a question. We won't come back and have this next month, is that correct? This
No,
is sort
sir.
of because of the overlap
Yes.
and the changes. Everybody's
sir.
going to be aware, okay.
Well, if they're not, they should be because we are making them aware of it.
All right. All in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Item 13 passes 3-0. Item 14, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners accept donation from the Communities of Coastal Georgia Foundation made to animal control and increase the revenues and expenditures in the FY '22 animal control budget by $2,219.50. Do I have anyone from anybody that wants to take this?
Hey, Commissioners, this is Tamara. I'll speak for Tiffany. She's actually out today. This is just a donation that she has had made to her department for the purchase of animal food and supplies, and we're asking you to accept this donation and adjust the budget so they can use these funds to purchase additional animal food.
All right, Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, sir.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners accept the donation from the Communities of Coastal Georgia Foundation made to animal control and increase the revenues and expenditures in FY '22 animal control budget by $2,219.50.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 14 passes 3-0. Item 15, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners amend the FY '22 library operating budget, revenues, and expenditures in the amount of $17,587 with funding provided by the Georgia Public Library Service. Ms. Moss.
Hi. Yes.
How are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Well, it's good to have you here.
Good to be here, especially with money. That's always a good thing. Yes, so the state library, this is our annual grant that helps to pay for salaries. It also helps to pay for books, and then we get a little bit of money for discretionary. We can spend it on anything, and then also our E-rate reimbursement. Every year, we don't know how much the state's going to give us, and their budget obviously doesn't get completed until the governor signs, which is May typically. So we always put in a placeholder, and this year's placeholder was a little off. The state gave us additional book money. So we actually now are up to 40 cents per capita.
That's good.
Yes.
We'll take it.
Yes.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, sir. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners amend the FY '22 library operating budget revenues and expenditures in the amount of $17,587, with funding to be provided by the Georgia Public Library Service.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 15 passes 3-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Y'all have a good day.
Item 16, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners accept the Georgia Department of Transportation Brunswick Area Transportation Study Grant in the amount of $120,856.24. Ms. Thompson.
Good afternoon. I can't ever be as perky as Miss Mullis, so it's good news I got to follow her today.
She's laughing at it.
This is our annual planning grant through our Metropolitan Planning Organization. It is programmed into your FY '22 budget. We always budget if we have to match it with cash, but for more than 10 years we've matched it with in-kind staff services. So this is the grant for all the transportation planning we're doing.
Questions or comments, Commissioners?
No, sir.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners accept the Georgia Department of Transportation Brunswick Area Transportation Study Grant in the amount of $120,856.24, pending the county attorney's approval.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 16 passes 3-0. Item 17, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners accept and execute the BATS FY 2022 contract for MLK Altama Bike Corridor Study PL 0018098-PLN. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir. Twice a year, we're able to apply for additional grant funding to do targeted studies for transportation, and the county is the fiscal agent for this one. The city of Brunswick is actually who requested this study, and they'll pay the 20% local match. So as fiscal agent, we just manage the contract back and forth, and again, they will be studying that bicycle corridor. So it's no money for us.
Which is a good idea, in my opinion, but
Commissioners, I'll just note that our office has approved this agreement as of yesterday.
I apologize. Both of those, 16 and 17, have been approved for.
all right, great. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize the chairman to execute the BATS FY 2022 contract for MLK Alabama Bicycle Corridor Study PI 0018098-PLN.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 17 passes 3-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, do we have BATS Monday, Pam?
Do-
Is BATS Monday?
Yes, yes, sir.
Item 18, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve and authorize the chairman to sign the memorandum of understanding with the University of Georgia for the county extension agents. Ms. Dunnigan.
Yes, this is for the county extension agent positions, funded both by the state and Glynn County. The MOU has been approved by both the CFO and the attorney's office and was approved in the FY '22 budget.
Ms. Stewart, how are you doing?
Good.
Always glad to have you here.
Just got done fishing with a whole bunch of kids.
Oh,
Did you get rained on like I did? You made it.
I had to leave early to get ready for this meeting, so
Oh,
I missed
okay.
that, but they
So
did.
you missed it, yeah. I got soaked.
I tell you, you come in and present yourself much better than Mr. Fendi typically does. If he comes off the
I
boat.
don't deserve any mercy, I
No,
understand.
no, I had to give myself a little time to go home. Yeah. Well, they actually did a good job catching fish, so
Well, that's good.
that's pretty
You
fish-like.
know what she means? Just like me, she said she saw that black cloud coming with that gray stripe falling behind, and she said, exit left,
I
stay
need a-
forward.
Sorry, kids, I need a little extra time.
You could drive, I have to throttle it up and try to make it.
Any questions or comments,
No, sir.
commissioners?
No,
Do you
sir.
have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve and authorize the chairman to sign the memorandum of understanding with the University of Georgia for the county extension agents.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Have a
Second.
second, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 18 passes 3-0.
Thank you.
That's why
Thank you.
Walter so graciously does all the reading of the items here when they're approved, because I've been out for 2.5 hours talking, so I'm winded out. You've
Thank you.
mercy.
Thank you.
Thank you, good to see you.
Item 19, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement with the University of Georgia for the county extension ANR agent shared interim position at an annual cost of $7,014 with funding provided by the approved FY22 GA extension operating budget. Ms. Dunnigan.
Sorry, I should have read down to the second one.
This agreement is between Glynn County and Camden County sharing the ANR agent until Glynn County's position is filled, or until June the 30th of '22, whichever comes first, and it will be funded by the FY22 Extension Office budget.
Ms. Stewart, any comments you want to have about this? Or?
No, we have applicants, so I'm hoping they'll have interviews set up first, so we will have us an ag agent,
Wonderful.
because I've learned everything I ever want to know about turf grass.
You can teach me. Commissioners, any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement with the University of Georgia for the county extension ANR agent shared intern position at an annual cost of $7,014 with funding to be provided by the approved FY22 Georgia extension operating budget.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 19 passes 3-0.
Thank you, ma'am.
Item 20, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve and execute FY22 contract with the Department of Family and Children's Services in the amount of $52,500 with funding provided by the FY22 General Fund operating budget. Ms. Dunnigan.
This is just the annual appropriation renewal with DFACS. It has been approved by the attorney's office and is in the budget for FY22.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion?
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve and execute the FY22 contract with the Department of Family and Children's Services in the amount of $52,500 with funding to be provided by the FY22 General Fund operating budget.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 20 passes 3-0. Item 21, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the concession license agreement with Davis Concessions for 31% of gross revenue for operating in designated mainland concession facilities at Glynn County Recreation and Parks athletic events and activities from September 1st, 2021 to August 31st, 2022. This is Ms. Gerganis.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. So the current agreement, concession license agreement for Mainland Athletics expires at the end of August. There were no options to renew, so we issued a request for quotes in early June. We received 3 quotes back from qualified vendors. The highest quote was 31% of gross revenue. So we recommend entering into a new agreement with Davis Concessions, which is actually the same person that's had the contract for the last several years. We've been very pleased with the work that she and her team have done to bring in some additional revenue to the county from the mainland athletic programs and tournaments and things like that we do at the park. So we would very much like to move forward with this. The new agreement would have, it's a 1-year agreement that would take us through next August, but there would be 2 options for renewal within that agreement, and those would have to come back to the Finance Committee and the Board of Commissioners to extend those agreements for additional terms.
Would it stay at 31%?
It would stay at 31%. Yeah, it'd have to be under the same terms and conditions as the renewal. If she requested a change in that, then we would have to consider something different.
All right,
No
comments or
discussion.
questions, Commissioners? I have a motion.
Move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the concession license agreement with Davis Concessions for 31% of gross revenue for operations of designated mainland concession facilities at Glynn County Recreation and Parks athletic events and activities from September 1, 21 to August 31, 2022.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, Commissioners? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 21 passes 3-0. Thank you, Lisa. Item 22, consider the Board of Commissioners approve the Second Amendment to Civic Plus LLC agreement to add 4 renewal terms of 1 year each to begin October 1st. Ms. Bragdon.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a request for an amendment to our Civic Plus agreement. It's just giving us additional 4 renewal terms of 1 each starting October the 1st. We used to pay monthly on this, and the first agreement was to change it to an annual payment, and then this one is just adding 4 additional years to the original contract. And this is our online sports registration program that we use for registering kids for sports and pool, swimming lessons, and
Way of the
corner
world
sales.
these days.
Do what?
The way of the world these
Yes.
days. Commissioners, any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Hang on. Gotta get there. Move to recommend that the Board of Commissioners approve the Second Amendment to the Civic Plus LLC agreement and add 4 renewal terms, 1 each year beginning October 1st.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 22 passes 3-0. Item 23, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to implement a new firewall and cybersecurity software and authorize the issuance of a purchase order utilizing state contract NASPO AR 3229 to DISYS Solutions Incorporated, DSI, in the amount of $134,510 with funding provided by the FY22 Capital Projects Fund, Information Technology Hardware. Ms. Bragdon.
Yes, sir. This is a request for approval and authorization to issue a purchase order for the installation of a new firewall and software to provide enhanced cyber security protection, advanced malware protection, cloud file security, and endpoint security. This will replace some of our legacy firewall systems, and this will be a path towards security innovation with a next generation firewall, and this is actually budgeted in our IT capital.
It is. How about that? Commissioners, any comments or questions?
I just say that the security of our systems, when I visited the office and they took me into the deep halls of cyber warfare, it's pretty amazing to see the attacks continuously coming.
Absolutely.
and filtering through the system. I know we've even got emails, phishing and scamming emails, even sneaking through, you know. So, yeah, we need protection.
Any other comments? If not, we have a motion.
Move to recommend that the Board of Commissioners authorize staff to implement a new firewall and cybersecurity software and authorize the issuance of a purchase order utilizing state contract NASPO AR 3229 to DISYS Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $134,510 with funding to be provided by the FY22 Capital Projects Fund, Information Technology Hardware.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Oh, sorry, second.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 23 passes
Thank
3-0.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Bragdon.
24 has been pulled.
Item 24 has been pulled. At the beginning of the meeting, item 25, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners award the contract for engineering services design and permitting for Sterling Ditch Drainage Improvements Project to GWES LLC with funding in the amount of $33,400 bid from the SPLOST 2016 drainage projects, Golden Isles Parkway Extension Drainage Improvements. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, sir. As you know, this is a SPLOST 2016 project. We did a presentation to you late last year with different options, and the board authorized us to move forward with the alternative plans where we kind of split this and tackle it in segments. So we issued an RFP for the first segment, which is to do the design and permitting for what we're calling the Sterling Ditch. It's closer where 99 connects to 341. We did put that out and receive bids and evaluate those bids, and GWES came in as the highest overall score with the proposals that were attached in your agenda item.
All right,
Commissioners,
Commissioners.
at the end of last year, this is before Cap and I got here, right?
Yes, sir. Originally, it was for the whole drainage basin that goes all the way out the spur, out toward Green Swamp and all that. And so when looked at, because there's a lot of residential development in that area, and because, you know, if you fix something upstream, you got to make sure it's working downstream or you're not really accomplishing a lot. So there were different alternatives, and the board at the time decided to kind of break it in pieces, start down here closer to the Dollar General at 341 and improve that area, and then work our way up. And as residential development expands in that area, if a development comes in, we would ask them to program their part so they're pitching in. So we will potentially have less improvement to do as we get closer to the spur.
Do we have a motion?
Move to recommend that the Board of Commissioners authorize awarding the contract for the engineering service design and permitting for Sterling Ditch Drainage Improvements Project to GWES LLC with funding in the amount of $33,400 bid from the SPLOST 2016 drainage projects, Golden Isles Parkway Extension Drainage Improvements.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Commissioners, all in favor, raise your right hand. Item 25 passes 3-0.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve the issuance of a purchase order for one excavator utilizing statewide contract, oh my goodness, 99999-001-SPD 0000177-0024 to Yancey Caterpillar in the amount of $149,910 with funding to be provided by the FY22 Capital Projects Fund. Mr. Austin.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. This is our equipment request for FY22 budget. This is our kind of our bread and butter piece of equipment that mows ditches and digs ditches.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
I lost it, hang on.
26.
I'm glad to see we're using somebody local. Is this the track with the?
Tracked excavator, it's a mid-size, so it's really the bread and butter. We have smaller ones, we got larger ones. The mid-size ones are used for just about everything.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Approve the issuance of a purchase order for one excavator utilizing a statewide contract 99999-001-SPD 0000177-0024 to Yancey Caterpillar in the amount of $149,919, with funding to be provided by the FY22 Capital Projects Fund.
Will you just restate the amount? I think you said 19. The amount of 104. You restate that amount?
$149,910.
Correct.
I did that wrong.
I thought you said something different, but maybe I messed up.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 27 passes
Did I
3-0.
call it wrong, Dave?
I was working on the next one, I'm sorry.
We'll go back and review the tape afterwards. How could it be wrong?
Eyes are getting
It's
weak.
all right, we got it right.
Consider recommending, item 27, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners approve installation of a new traffic signal at the intersection of Scranton Connector, Altama, and Stafford Avenue in the amount not to exceed $200,000 with funding provided by the Capital Fund allocation for District Commissioner number 4, Mr. Alston.
Yes, this is actually a much needed traffic signal. It's warranted it for years, and the commissioner would like to put one there.
Any other comments or discussion?
Where Stafford and
Coming out the
Alabama,
back end of Walmart, out to Altama.
where the Dollar General is across
Correct.
the street,
Yeah, that's Stafford on that side, Dollar General.
are they going to put another light down where they're putting the retirement
Yes,
village in?
yes.
So you're going to have to stop at the Spur, then stop at the
But
shopping center,
we're not gonna stop at
then-
Altama Elementary
then
anymore.
stop at the, okay.
We're pulling that one out.
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the installation of a new traffic signal at the intersection of Scranton Connector, Altama, and Stafford Avenue in the amount not to exceed $200,000 with funding to be provided by the Capital Fund allocation for Commission District 4.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 27 passes 3-0. Item 28, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners award the contract for SPLOST 2016 Pinnock Road Construction Project to Riverstone Construction of Jacksonville, Florida, for bid alternate number 1 in the amount of $5,216,127, with $2,332,660 to be provided by SPLOST 2016 project line, $599,470 in Major Roads Project, $130,777 left in SPLOST 4 dirt road paving, and $2,153,220 to be provided by the SPLOST 2016 excess funds. Mr. Austin.
So this is a SPLOST 2016 project, as you stated. You may have remembered we brought it to the board back in May where we had a couple of bids. And you asked me to go back and rescope it, and so we rescoped it, and we got 3 bids this time. And we sat down, before we rescoped it, we sat down with the district commissioner at that time, and he actually talked to my maintenance guy that was on the ground, the guy that does the grading of the roads, and said, where should we pay? He was not a proponent of paving it at the time, but then he talked to Chuck and says, well, I got major washouts here, major washouts there, and the best thing would be to pave up to this point, which is 2.13 miles. And so we set the bid out with 2 bid options. One is to get the whole area taken care of, because we've already bought the mitigation credits, get the drainage taken care of, get the clearing all the right of way, fix the end down there by the park where it keys into the park a little better, and then pave 2 miles. The other option was to and fill all that area, so we would be ready to pave. Okay, after we paved the 2.18 miles, if we wanted to pave some more, we could go pave some more. The next option was, well, do all that, but don't do the fill area. Do the drainage, and so if you had the drainage, you'd have a pipe in the road, and it would taper down, so you would go over the drain, okay? But the elevation of the road would be a little lower, and at that the rest of the 4 miles of the road wouldn't be back up to elevation. So the good news is we got 3 bids, 3 good contractors. This contractor just came off the roundabout at Kingsway and Federica, and the bids were close to what we had the last time. So when we kind of cried wolf and thought we were going to be worse here, you know, it's not too bad. So so I'm asking for $2 million of her money, Tamara's excess money that she's sitting on in the SPLOST 2016.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Does this raise up all the areas that flood? So the road's not gonna get washed over again?
According
On the
to,
very end.
yes, well, our engineer said yes, it wouldn't get washed over again. But there will be some low areas towards the end of the road. I believe when it floods down there
It
at
floods in the park, it comes all the way
yeah,
out.
when it floods in the park and comes out, it's gonna hit the road there. But we have washout areas that wash the road completely out that we believe this will take care of.
So the 2 miles of paving is gonna start at the park end and go back the other way?
No, it's going from the other end and going towards the park.
But aren't the houses on the other end, on the park end?
The houses are,
When I wrote it, Dave, I thought they were, cause.
well, we looked at where the houses were, the whole, there's 3 or 4 houses there,
Right.
but there's a couple of roads, there's a couple of areas from the south end going north that you can get to. One of them is the DNR area, and another one is a road that I can't remember off the top of my head that goes back towards the west.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. Sammy and I rode out there and looked at it. But I thought the houses were more on the park end, but maybe I'm mistaken.
I believe you are correct, but after talking to my guy, we had initially war gamed that going from north to south, and we considered that could be a problem. A couple things, people could think that the whole road was paved and they start going that way. And other thing was after Sammy or Commissioner Tosherson talked to my supervisor out there, he realized that the worst part of the road that needed to be maintained was the part we wanted to pave, or this part that he recommended paving. So alternative number one is what Commissioner Tosherson recommended. Alternative number 2 is another alternative, less expensive alternative. If you pick alternative number 2, we will over time, over a series of years, try and build up the road out there.
I don't see 2 in motions.
The 2 alternatives. No, there's only one. There's only one motion, I believe. Well, I got 2 alternatives. The motion just has the 5.2 on it, I believe.
I see the alternatives now.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any more questions or comments?
It's a big project,
Yes, sir.
hard road to
Yes, sir.
do, be weather driven.
Has there ever been a traffic count on that road?
Uh,
The only reason I asked Dave, that's a lot of money to spend out there, but I understand. It's dirt road paving, we talked about it already.
Yes, sir.
But has there ever been a count?
I believe there has. I could get you that number. You asked me that before, and we had some challenges. There's some challenges putting tubes over those roads. So.
They'll come up missing.
They come up missing, yes, sir.
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners award the contract for SPLOST 2016 Pennick Road construction with project to Riverstone Construction of Jacksonville for bid alternative 1 in the amount of $5,216,127 with $232,660 to be provided by SPLOST 2016 project line. $599,470 in SPLOST 2016 major road projects, $130,777 left in SPLOST 4 dirt road paving, and $2,153,220 to be provided by the SPLOST 2016 excess funds.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 28 passes 3-0.
That's gonna be some project.
No, item 29, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize the purchase of 2 Kubota RTVs in place of the F-150 approved in the FY22 budget, and authorize issuance of a purchase order for 1 RTV 900 diesel, $13,500, and 1 RTV 520 gas, $10,200, for a total price of $23,700 to Sapelo Equipment Company of Brunswick, Georgia. Mr. Austin.
So my division manager out there, Jack Franklin, after he weighed the pros and cons, he doesn't really need although he's got a pickup truck that has 200,000 miles on it, a pickup truck on the island with 200,000 miles. It's a flat island. If it breaks down, you can go get it. He would rather, he lost 2 Kubotas. They just completely rusted out on him. He would prefer to have Kubotas because he can get on the beach with the Kubotas. He can get to the park areas, and he can service the south end of the island. The truck, he can get a new truck that has like a We believe the diesel to be the better option, but we wanted 2, and we only have so much money, and so I can't get 2 diesels, so I get a diesel and a gas.
So somewhat logical to me. Any other comments or questions, commissioners?
Still the 2, if you had 2 diesels, they'd be less than the price of the pickup truck.
I thought the diesels were for 13 something.
13.5.
Yeah, but the pickup truck was 20.
27.
Yeah, but I think all I got in the money was 24 for
Okay.
the budget. I got 24.
All right, I'm good with it. I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners authorize the purchase of 2 Kubota RTVs in place of the F-150 approved in the FY22 budget, and authorize issuance of
$559,147.20. Also move to approve increasing the annual solid waste special assessment to $185 per household, an increase of $60 per year. Or B, award the contract to the Solid Waste Collection and Recycle Services to the lowest responsible bidder, Republic Services of Georgia, DBA Southland Waste Systems, to provide residential trash collection effective January 1st, 2022, with a base year cost of $2,961,144, and no change to the annual $125 solid waste special assessment fee. Mr. Austin.
So based on our the work session, we narrowed the 4 options down to 2. The 2 options are basically maintain the status quo, what we're doing. Everybody gets charged $60 for. The second option is just do away with the recycle, and there's no increase in cost. Tomorrow will tell you that if we increase the $60 per year, that funding has to have a public hearing, and I think it has to be talked at twice. Is that right, Tamara?
That is correct. The public hearing has been advertised and is going to take place at the next Board of Commissioner meeting. So if the commissioners here would prefer to wait on recommending a decision, you can wait and hear what the public has to say, or see if there are any comments. But that has been advertised and will take place on August 5th.
Tamara, Dave, I know there's probably a split. I think there's a split among us as to which way to go. David and I talked about this before. If we choose to go with just $125 for you to sign up to get recycling, you're going to have to pay $81.
Correct.
So is that because they figure their number of cans they'll have will drop?
Yes, and they don't know what their number of cans is gonna be. I think they think their number will drop by 2/3.
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to pull this for the meeting and just let the 7 decide, or the 5 and the 2 via
And
Skype.
you can also go back to what I call the South Carolina option, which is the $5 a month and open some centers.
I think, I'm all right with the 185 a year, but I think the public, because that looks like a tax increase. So that's why I think we're right to have people be able to weigh in on it. I asked my wife, she said, yeah, keep it. It's an extra can. But it's not used, we don't use it as an extra can, but a lot of people do. So I understand why they might want to cut it out. I just think we ought to pull it for the regular meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's really a subsidy that we offered out because
Yeah, because it costs a lot more than what we're paying.
what did he say? 50% of the enrollment are using recycling
For trash cans.
cans when they could, that number could be way higher if they wanted to. So I think it's just whether the general public conceptually wants us to.
Since the public has to
Continue to
weigh in, I
subsidize
think
that.
that'd probably be, do you agree, Will?
Yes, sir. Just to make sure I understand, when you say pull it, you mean just forward it to the
Yeah,
board without a recommendation?
Yeah.
So we need a motion to that effect, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think you can just make a motion to forward to the full board without a recommendation.
And does the public hearing go before that or after? How's the public hearing work within that
So
timeframe?
you normally need a public hearing when you're increasing a fee or implementing a new fee. So if that's one of your possibilities is to increase that fee, I would say normally what happens is the public hearing happens and then y'all vote whether to implement that new fee or
So
not.
we don't have to have a public hearing if we take the option B and award the contract for $125 to keep the rate where it is.
If you're leaving the rate as it is, then no public hearing would be necessary before you do that. But I would say if you don't know at this point whether you might increase that fee, well, I guess you could go to your board meeting and if you
See,
decide you do want to,
That'd be my thought for going to the meeting with it, because if we increase it, you need the public hearing. If you don't increase it, we could do it right now and be done with it.
Right.
Thoughts?
My thoughts is just to have the public hearing, like you said, let people weigh in on whether they want to have it or not, and then have the commission decide.
So would the motion be, Mr. Chairman, item 30, the contract for residential waste collection options be moved to the regular meeting as an item?
Be considered by the full board.
Should we consider by the full board?
My question is, Tamara, does it have to be 2 public hearings or 1?
One public hearing.
You get a second, Ken?
Second.
All right, we have a motion
So we're deferring it to the,
Yes, sir.
and a second. The motion is to defer item 30 or forward it to the full board for consideration at the August 5th meeting after the public hearing. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. The motion for item 30 to be referred to the full board is passes 3-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I thought they could come under the other items too.
Yeah. Are there any items besides 30 that,
No, sir.
all right, I got a motion to adjourn?
Well, number 24, we already pulled that one. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Meeting adjourned.